Hello, my name's Lisa, and I'm part of the architectural team from Mikhail Riches working with City of York Council on Ordnance Lane. The purpose of this presentation is to share our current design progress with you, following on from the workshops held earlier this year. We'd really like to hear your thoughts, so please share your comments in the online survey at the end. This online exhibition follows a number of events held over the last 12 months. We've really enjoyed getting to know local residents and stakeholders at a variety of different workshops and online sessions, and have found your feedback so far extremely useful in shaping our design. At the end of last year, we met residents and stakeholders to discuss the site, review our initial work, and inform us about the area. Earlier this year, we held a day's design workshop, shortly followed by a feedback evening. More recently, a smaller group attended a specific intergenerational online gathering. In February, we invited you to a full-day workshop held at the local Steiner School. Here, we discussed the scheme in its early stages, and some key development points came out, which the project team have taken away and worked on. You asked us to review which buildings we were retaining on site. We spent time working through this, but in the end, it just wasn't feasible to retain more of the smaller existing buildings. So we're proposing to retain and refurbish the married quarters. I'll talk a bit more about this later. You highlighted concerns about overlooking to make our public spaces safe, and together the idea for a wildlife corridor was developed to animate the eastern edge of the site and ensure this space is safe and well used. Key to the proposal is providing intergenerational living opportunities. This aims to promote mixed communities who support each other, tackling loneliness and isolation. As part of this online gathering, we explored the difference between intergenerational and multi-generational, and the importance of offering both on site. Intergenerational homes are individual dwellings occupied by mixed communities, so residents all have their own home but benefit from lots of community spaces, shared and private outside space, higher accessibility levels, and a design that's focused on supporting interaction and neighbourly relationships. Multi-generational homes are those that support two or more generations from the same family within one curtilage. In April, we held an online gathering to focus on the local needs and aspirations for this part of the scheme. The key takeaways from this were to support people of mixed ages, accessibility requirements, interests and situations, to provide external spaces that are attractive and easy to maintain and encourage ownership. These communal spaces should be connected to the wider development and to key routes to encourage interaction. I'm now going to briefly run you through our proposal, but first I'd like to bring it back to the core values of the brief, as set out in the CYC's Housing Delivery Programme Design Manual. These are to build healthy homes and neighbourhoods, reduce our impact on the environment and residents' energy bills, deliver the housing our residents need, creating distinct and beautiful places which bring communities together, and to support sustainable transport choices and connectivity. The site presents some great opportunities and challenges that have shaped our proposal. The orientation means that there is great potential for daylight and sunlight from the south, making it ideal for passive house. The proximity to the National Cycle Network and to Fulford Road means that there are many sustainable transport choices available, and great public amenities within walking distance. We've also been careful to consider site challenges, such as the nearby 19th century terraces to the north, Fulford Road Conservation Area, and the existing office building that overlooks the site to the east. The site itself has a rich military history and partially falls within the conservation area. These existing buildings on site have been looked at for their architectural merit and adaptability when designing the intergenerational homes in this area. The married quarters was chosen to be retained because it holds the most historic significance in relation to the military hospital and forms the heart of the scheme. It's also able to be reconfigured internally to provide new homes that our residents need. More on this later. One of the things that came up in our design workshop was a question about retaining more of these buildings. We focused on the small cottage and tested whether it was feasible to keep it. Considering the intergenerational needs of this part of the site, keeping this cottage presented issues for the accessibility, as a lift would not be able to serve any new flats. Equally, positioning new homes around the cottage, the existing married quarters and two existing trees on site was not possible, as the cottage itself would be compromised by the new homes being uncomfortably close around it. This resulted in poorly functioning landscape and access, and a lower design quality overall. So, on balance, the project team felt that the benefits of providing a new intergenerational scheme outweighed the benefits of keeping this cottage. I'm now going to talk through the rationale behind the proposal that you're going to see today. Firstly, the married quarters building is retained, while other buildings on the site are cleared. Next, key east-west and north-south routes are established across the site. A public urban orchard is positioned on the central axis between these two, next to the married quarters, and a gateway building and commercial or community typologies define the connection through the site to the existing industries. A series of terraced streets reflects the existing urban grain, and the roofscape maximizes solar potential to shared gardens and draws upon passive house principles. Taller node buildings on the terrace ends help to screen the overbearing adjacent buildings and shelter the shared courtyard gardens. This extra height also allows these flats to have great views of the river and York Minster. All homes are designed to passive house standards. This means that the homes are all airtight, have high insulation levels, and use solar gains to reduce energy demands. In the summer, solar shading is used to avoid overheating, and mechanical ventilation and heat recovery is used throughout. All junctions in the construction are thermally modelled, so there are no thermal bridges in the construction of all these homes. These moves are really key to reducing residents' energy bills and to achieving our target of net zero operational carbon. This is an image of the current proposal. In the foreground are two courtyard blocks formed of terraced streets of 2 to 3 stories, which back onto shared gardens. In the distance is a linear route called New Ordnance Lane, which is home to the intergenerational part of the scheme and connects back to Fulford Road. There are two key public squares that sit along this route. The urban orchard is at the end of the married quarters, and the intergenerational pocket park is to the east, closer to Fulford Road. Zooming in first on the intergenerational part of the site, on the left you can see the urban orchard, then the refurbished married quarters, and small live-work units opposite, and to its right a stretch of new homes that end at a pocket park. Beyond this is a larger 4-storey building that forms a gateway to the site off Fulford Road. This street is a vibrant pedestrian and cycle route to encourage play and connectivity. The western side of the site is characterised by 2 to 3-storey terraced streets, arranged around generous shared courtyard gardens. Front gardens also include secure bike storages, and these streets also provide on-site parking for larger or wheelchair-accessible homes. Along the far side of these terraces, you can see the Wildlife Corridor, a pedestrian route that runs north-south up to the urban orchard and New Ordnance Lane. The scheme provides 89 new homes, with 28 on-site car parking spaces and 14 along Hospital Fields Road next to the industrial estate to the west. 10 of these spaces towards the top of the plan are blue badge spaces, accessed via the public highway at the back of Wenlock Terrace and serving the intergenerational community. To the west of the site is an electric vehicle charging point with designated electric vehicle parking and a car club space. The scheme is low car, so has a focus on providing safe streets for pedestrians and cycles. This is encouraged by providing lots of secure cycle shelters within each home's curtilage, cargo bikes and a car club proposal. Access to cars is controlled, with general vehicles only being allowed to drive between the terraces, highlighted here in blue. The north-south route and east-west route towards Fulford Road are living streets, which are pedestrian and cycle routes with a focus on play, community and landscape. Landscape is really key to the scheme, and each of the landscape spaces have been designed to have a unique character, so there is a variety of external amenities on offer. These range from private front and back gardens to secure shared courtyard gardens with wild play opportunities, to public squares with communal growing opportunities and fruit trees. I'm now going to walk you through a few key areas of the scheme. First of all, the intergenerational living towards the east, adjoining Fulford Road. In order to support a mixed community with a variety of needs, it's really important that the intergenerational part of the site is well connected. Providing it along New Ordnance Lane means that there's really good access to shops and bus services on Fulford Road, but it's also located between two key landscaped areas to provide external amenity on site. The route itself is along a pedestrian and cycle route, so this is protected and it's a safe place to be outside on the street. The eastern corner of the site faces Fulford Road. This is an illustration of the gateway building that turns the corner into New Ordnance Lane, providing fully wheelchair accessible homes with great connectivity. The buildings step back from the street and work to complement local heritage in their form, mass and materiality. Moving west, this illustration shows the refurbished married quarters on the left and the new 3-storey building to its right. This is New Ordnance Lane, so this is the car-free street that promotes social interaction in this intergenerational community. The existing married quarters will be refurbished to serve the intergenerational community. To increase the accessibility of these homes, a new lightweight walkway is being introduced at the rear. Behind this is a shared garden for residents with raised growing beds that benefits from its linear shape. Behind this, within the site boundary, are 10 blue badge parking spaces for the wheelchair accessible homes across the intergenerational part of the site. These are accessed off the public highway to the rear of the married quarters. This is a drawing of New Ordnance Lane and the intergenerational part of the site. These blocks provide a mix of 1 and 2 bed flats that cater for a mixed group of residents. They've been designed to offer flexibility so that the area will support people of different ages, accessibility needs, situations and interests. Community spaces sit at the ends of the buildings, so they're well used and also help to animate the public squares. If we are able to do so, commercial and live-work units will also be located along this street to animate the public realm. These are shown in grey here. The next key area I'm going to focus on is the urban orchard. This is between the terraced streets and the married quarters, and there's a generous public square at the intersection between the north-south and east-west axes of the site. Here there are fruit trees, seating areas and raised planting beds that the whole community can enjoy. The married quarters community space opens out onto this square with outside seating. The square is also well overlooked by windows off bedrooms and living rooms from the flats above. Continuing west from the urban orchard are the terraced streets arranged around courtyard gardens. This image shows a typical terraced street. These terraces provide a mix of 2, 3 and 4 bed homes, with the larger end of terrace flatted blocks providing 1 and 2 bed flats over 3 stories. At the back, these terraces back onto shared courtyard gardens, which offer safe spaces for children to play, raised growing beds and shared seating. Along the eastern edge of the terraces is a generous pedestrian route running north-south towards the urban orchard. This landscaped route also helps to protect and screen from the larger office building next door. Bats, bees and native species of plants are encouraged here. The bottom image also shows the multi-generational house type that I mentioned earlier. These are larger 3-storey homes that overlook the wildlife corridor at the end of each terrace, making it a safe space for children and pedestrians. These homes are designed for 2 generations of the same family to live within the same dwelling. They take the form of a ground floor wheelchair accessible flat with an adjoining 4-bedroom house. The 2 parts of the house are connected internally and are within the same building envelope, but they have their own front doors to offer a level of independence for each generation. Both have access to a private garden at the back, which again opens up onto the shared courtyard beyond. Focusing on the design of these streets, local precedents have been used to guide our material choices. York red brick has been used for the main facades, but key details have been picked up from the surrounding areas, such as paired front doors, white brick corbelling and stepping terrace details, and these have all inspired our design. So that brings me to the end of this presentation. I'm going to leave you with this image of the overall scheme. I hope you've enjoyed seeing our progress and how your input has helped to shape the design so far. Please have a look at the online survey and share your feedback with us so we can keep developing this scheme with your help before our planning submission. Thank you very much.